someone lay down in the dark with weight still on them, brought it before God, and found peace waiting on the other side of that releasing. Psalm 4 is the record of that journey, and this night walks the same road. Father, you are the God who hears when your people call. And so we call now, in the quiet of this night, with everything the day left behind still present in us. Receive this moment as an offering, the weight of it, the unresolved parts of it, the questions that did not find answers before the sun went down. Let your peace, which is deeper than understanding, stand guard over our hearts through every hour of this night. Leave a prayer request in the comments. We pray over every single one. The night is already here. The room is still. The air is soft and unhurried. Somewhere nearby, a fire has settled into its low and steady rhythm. The quiet sound of something warm that asks nothing of the one resting beside it. And in this stillness, there is a psalm, an ancient voice, a real person, a night that was not easy, and a journey taken through it, honestly, slowly, without bypassing what was felt, that arrived, at the very end, at a peace so completed could be spoken aloud without any exaggeration. In peace, I will lie down and sleep. For you alone, Lord, make me dwell in safety. Those are the final words of Psalm 4. That is where this night is going. But the psalm does not begin there. It begins where most nights begin, with weight. With something carried through the hours of the day that did not resolve itself before the sun went down. With the kind of tiredness that is deeper than the body, the kind that settles into the place where the day's unfinished things live. And the psalm does not skip past that. It begins there, honestly, and it walks all the way through. The first words of Psalm 4 are the words of someone who has already turned toward God. There is no long preamble, no testing the connection to see if anyone is on the other side, no carefully constructed approach designed to make the prayer sound worthy of being answered. The psalmist simply calls, and the calling itself assumes that God is present, that the voice will reach, that the relationship between the one speaking and the one being spoken to has already been established long before this particular night, long before this particular wait arrived. Answer me when I call, O God of my righteousness. The phrase carries something important. The psalmist calls him the God of my righteousness. This is a specific and personal claim. It means the one being called upon is the source of the psalmist's right standing, not something the psalmist achieved or earned or maintained through careful living, but something given, something that belongs to the relationship itself, and that matters for the night, because the one who carries tonight's weight into the presence of God is already known there, already held, already in the kind of relationship where the voice arrives and is received, where there is no need to first establish credentials or explain the reason for the calling. The Lord has set apart the faithful for himself, and he hears when they call. That is the ground Psalm 4 is standing on from its very first line, a relationship already real, a history already written between the soul and the God it belongs to, a keeper who does not require convincing, who does not need the situation explained before attending to the one who brought it. So the call goes up into the night, and it is heard. There is a companion psalm, written in what appears to be the same difficult season as Psalm 4. It is the psalm just before it, Psalm 3. And in it, the psalmist pauses in the middle of his prayer to remember a night that had already passed, a night when he had already been through something like this, already lay down in the dark with pressure circling, already brought what he could not carry alone into God's presence, and slept. I lay down and slept, and the Lord sustained me through the night. A short sentence, almost plain, but carrying something that deserves to be received slowly. The sleep had happened in God's care. The body had rested even while the circumstances remained unresolved. Nothing was fixed before the eyes closed. The situation that had brought the psalmist to prayer in the first place was still present when morning came, and yet the night had been held. The psalmist had slept, and the Lord had sustained him through every hour of it. The faithfulness that made that night possible is the same faithfulness present in this one. It has not diminished between that night and this one. It does not wear down through repeated use or grow thin with the weight of many requests. It does not carry forward into a new night with less of itself available than it had in the night before. The faithfulness is whole. It is new. It is present now in the same completeness that held the psalmist then. Before this night, there were many other nights that God held his people through. This is one more. The fire is still low, still warm. The room holds its quiet, and something in the listening has already begun to slow. A small, almost imperceptible settling that happens when the body realizes nothing urgent is being asked of it, when the ears have found something unhurried to rest in, when the breath begins to find its own slower pace without being told to. This is the beginning of arrival, and the psalm is a good companion for this particular movement, because Psalm 4 itself makes a movement just like this one. It begins in the place of wait and calling, and it walks, line by line, toward the place of rest. The walking is real. There are no shortcuts taken in the psalm. The psalmist does not go from the first cry to the final piece in a single leap. He moves through something. He processes something before God. He arrives at the lying down only after having walked the interior journey that makes the lying down possible. And that journey is what this night holds. Psalm 4 contains one of the most remarkable instructions in all of Scripture for a person lying in the dark with a restless mind. It is a verse that is rarely read in the context of sleep, and rarely given the weight it deserves when it is read at all. Ponder in your hearts on your beds, and be silent. The verse does not instruct the listener to empty the mind. It does not say, stop thinking. It does not require the achievement of some blank, unbothered internal state before the rest can begin. It acknowledges the bed as the place where the heart turns things over. The psalmist knew exactly what it was to lie down in the dark and find the day still moving through the mind. The replayed conversation, the decision that still felt uncertain, the thing that was said or unsaid or left unresolved, the low hum of tomorrow's unknowns already beginning to make themselves felt. The psalm names that experience without shame. It calls it pondering, and it places it specifically on the bed, as if to say, this is normal. This is the human experience of nighttime. This is what the bed holds. And then it gives the pondering somewhere to go, because the silence the psalm speaks of is a specific kind of silence. It is the silence that follows the act of bringing what was felt into God's presence. Honestly, directly, without requiring it to be cleaned up or made presentable first. The pondering that the psalm invites is the deliberate act of turning toward God with what is real, nomming it in His presence, and then releasing the need to continue holding it. Ponder and then be still. The movement is from feeling to presenting to releasing to silence. The silence is the arrival point, and it is a full silence, the kind that comes when something that was being carried has been set down somewhere that can hold it. The day may have left something specific behind, a conversation that did not go the way it was meant to, words spoken in a moment that now, in the quiet of the night, feel different than they did in the heat of the afternoon. A relationship that has a question mark sitting somewhere in the middle of it, unresolved, still present, or perhaps nothing that specific, just the general residue of a day that was long and full and demanded more than expected. The kind of tiredness that does not have a name or a clear cause, but sits somewhere just behind the eyes and in the upper part of the shoulders and in the quiet space at the back of the mind. These things are already seen. Whatever was carried into this night, the weight of it, the shape of it, the particular texture of what remains unfinished. God is not waiting for an explanation. The one who set apart the faithful for Himself knows them, knows what the day held, knows what it left behind. The bringing forward is an act of trust, and the trust is received. So whatever is present, it can be brought gently forward now, named without analysis, placed without ceremony, set before the one who holds all things without requiring the one placing it to stay and watch over it. The bed is the place where the hands open. In Psalm 4, just after the instruction to be silent on the bed, the psalmist turns toward an act he calls an offering. Offer right sacrifices and put your trust in the Lord. In the sleep context of tonight, the offering is the unresolved thing itself, the thing that would travel through the hours of the night if it were not deliberately placed somewhere outside itself. The worry, the grief, the unanswered question, the situation that that requires more than the sleeping person can give it in the dark. The psalmist calls the placing of trust before God a sacrifice, and the word carries weight. A sacrifice is something given, something relinquished, something that leaves the hands of the one who held it and becomes the responsibility of the one before whom it is placed. Trust in this psalm is an act and a deliberate one. The hands open. The thing that was held is set gently before God, and the hands remain open afterward, which is the part that matters most. The offering is complete. The psalmist had things he could not control, circumstances pressing in from multiple directions, voices that questioned and accused, a day that had been difficult in ways that did not simply lift because the sun went down. And rather than exhausting himself in the attempt to resolve his way to peace, he placed his trust before God and turned his attention toward what was permanently true. This is the movement that opens the way to the lying down. Not resolution first and then rest. Trust first and then the rest that follows trust. A mind anchored in God is kept in a peace that the ancient Hebrew word names twice over. Shalom, shalom. The doubling is intentional. It means a completeness of peace, a wholeness that is not partial, not conditional, not dependent on the circumstances arranging themselves in a favorable order before it can arrive. Shalom, shalom. Peace upon peace. A settled completeness of the inner life that comes from the specific act of keeping the mind anchored in the character and faithfulness of God. The mind resting in Him is kept there, held in it, maintained within it by the one who is its source. This is not the peace of achieved calm. This is the peace of a mind that has found the right resting place and is being kept there by the one in whom it rests, and the offering placed before God. The trust that was set down with open hands releases into this, and then Psalm 4 opens into something that feels like a window letting in light. After the wait, after the bed, after the offering of trust, the psalm moves into a prayer that is one of the most quietly human prayers in the entire book of Psalms. Lift the light of your face upon us. The psalmist is not asking for the problem to be resolved. He is not asking for the circumstances to shift, or the accusers to be silenced, or tomorrow to look more favorable than today. He is asking to be seen, the face of God turned toward the one praying, the warmth of being specifically regarded, held in the light of divine attention, covered by the favor of the one whose face, when turned in blessing, changes the quality of everything beneath it. This is the deepest longing beneath the surface of the psalm, beneath the weight, beneath the prayer, beneath even the offering of trust. The longing to be seen with favor by the God who already knows and holds the one longing. And what the psalmist discovers on the other side of that prayer is remarkable. He finds that what God places in the heart, in the specific, interior, quiet place of the heart, outweighs everything the world measures as abundance. You have put more gladness in my heart than they have when their grain and wine overflow. The comparison is generous and deliberate. The people around the psalmist may have full harvests, visible prosperity, the kind of external good that looks like blessing to everyone observing it. Their grain is abundant. Their wine is new. By any outward measure, things are going well for them. And the psalmist says, "The gladness God places in my heart is greater than all of that. A deeper satisfaction, a quieter fullness, a joy that does not require the right circumstances as its foundation. This is the quality of what God gives directly, personally, into the heart of the one who has brought their weight forward and released it in trust. The light of his face produces what no harvest can. The fire is soft. The room is held in warmth. And the psalm is arriving somewhere. There is a word from the ancient prophets, a single sentence that belongs in this night, in this room, in this moment of arrival. The Lord your God is in your midst. He will quiet you by his love. The quieting is something he does. The listener does not produce it. There is no correct technique to be applied, no internal effort to be made, no specific achievement of the right emotional state before the quieting can begin. The quieting comes from the arrival of presence, and presence is already here. God is in the midst of this night, and where he is, a quieting happens. The kind that moves through what is still unsettled and gently lays it down. Not by force, not by the removal of what is real, but by being more present than what is real, more stable than what is unresolved, more permanent than what is heavy. He will quiet you by his love. The love does the work. The love that set the faithful apart for himself. The love that turned a face with warmth and placed a gladness in the heart that outlasts every harvest. The love that is present in this room, in this night, in the quieting that has been growing since the first word of this psalm was spoken. This is what is happening now, and this is where the invitation rests gently. For those who find themselves returning to this night and to this psalm in the difficult hours, if Psalm 4 has become a companion for the restless nights, there is a place for you in the community gathering in the comments below. Somewhere in the records of the ancient kings of Israel, there is a small, quiet scene that belongs to this night. A man named Elijah. He was one of the great prophets, a voice that had stood before kings, a servant who had poured out everything he had in faithfulness to God. And there came a season when the pouring out left him empty in a way that went beyond ordinary tiredness. He walked into the wilderness. He sat under a tree, and then he lay down. God did not rebuke him. God did not arrive with urgency or instruction, or a list of reasons why the lying down was premature. God did not point to the work still unfinished, or the journey still incomplete, or the things that ought to have been attended to before rest was permitted. God let him sleep. And when the sleep had done what sleep does, when the body had received what it needed from the hours of stillness, something was waiting. Food, water, the touch of an angel, quiet and gentle. Arise and eat. The journey is too great for you. The words are a care, an acknowledgement that the one who was exhausted was real, and that the need was real, and that what was required before anything else was rest and provision. God provided for Elijah's sleep before Elijah asked for it. The provision did not wait for the tired prophet to first recover his strength and then present himself as someone worthy of being cared for. It was given in the middle of the tiredness, in the middle of the lying down, in the middle of the wilderness. Tonight, the same care extends without condition. The provision does not wait for the night to be arranged correctly first. It is given in the middle of whatever the day left behind. The ground beneath Elijah was dry. The tree above him gave only shade, and still sleep came. The circumstances were not favorable. The situation was unresolved. The thing that had driven him to exhaustion in the first place had not disappeared. The journey ahead was still long and still unknown. And God gave rest anyway, fully, generously, in the middle of all of that, as a gift offered freely to the one who had nothing left to offer in return. The sleep that comes in God's care does not require the night to be arranged correctly first. It arrives in the middle of the unresolved. It is given to the tired. It is given to the one who lay down not because everything was settled, but because the body finally stopped. Elijah's sleep was held by God through the night, and the morning came with provision already prepared. There is a man who left an image in the Psalms, a single image of a soul that had arrived somewhere, so settled it requires almost no words to describe. I have calmed and quieted my soul, like a weaned child with its mother. A weaned child is a specific image for a specific reason. It is a child who is no longer hungry in the urgent, demanding way of infancy. A child who is satisfied deeply, completely, not because a need is being met in the moment, but because the relationship itself is the resting place. The closeness is enough. The presence is sufficient. The child does not need anything from the mother right now except to remain close. And the soul arrives at something like this: a quieted thing, a calmed thing, a soul that has released the straining and the demanding and the urgent internal asking, and has found that the closeness of God is a sufficient resting place, that His presence alone, without answers, without resolutions, without the circumstances arranging themselves favorably, is enough. The soul rests like a weaned child, fully quiet, fully held, needing nothing more than what is already present. The peace that the ancient letter names is an active thing. It is a peace that stands guard. The peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds. Tonight, the mind does not need to maintain its own vigilance. The guarding has been taken over by something far more capable of it. The mental rehearsal of tomorrow's possible difficulties, the internal review of today's unresolved moments, the careful monitoring of the unknown, all of that can be set down because the peace of God has taken the watch. It stands guard over the heart, over the mind, over the interior life of the one who has placed their trust before God with open hands. The guard is faithful. The guard does not sleep. The guard does not step away from its post in the middle of the night to attend to other things. The heart is held, the mind is covered, and the one who lay down in trust can release the weight of their own watchfulness, because something stronger has taken over that function entirely. My presence will go with you, and I will give you rest. Those words were spoken to a man named Moses, standing at the edge of an impossible journey, carrying the weight of a whole people's future. The request Moses brought to God was simple and direct. Do not send us without your presence. And the promise came immediately. My presence goes with you, and I will give you rest. The rest is inseparable from the presence. They are not two separate gifts offered in sequence. First the presence, and then at some later point the rest. They arrive together. The presence carries the rest within it. Where God goes, rest is already present in his going. This night the presence is here, not waiting to be summoned, not conditional on the right prayer or the correct emotional state. Already here, already present in this room, in this quiet, in the low warmth of the fire and the stillness of the air. And where the presence is, rest follows. The psalm has been walking toward verse 8 since its first word. Every line was a step in this direction. Every honest bringing forward of weight, every offering of trust with open hands, every turning of the face toward God, and finding the light of his face already turned in return. All of it was the journey toward this. In peace, I will lie down and sleep. For you alone, Lord, make me dwell in safety. The psalmist does not arrive here because the accusation stopped. He does not arrive here because the day that had been difficult became easy. He does not arrive here because the circumstances resolved themselves while the psalm was being written. The pressure is still present. The unresolved things are still unresolved. And still, the psalmist says, in peace I will lie down and sleep, because the peace does not come from the circumstances. It comes from the declaration at the end of the verse, for you alone, Lord, make me dwell in safety. The word alone carries everything. It releases every other candidate for the role of keeper of the night. It gently sets aside every other thing the heart was trying to hold on to for security. Every plan, every contingency, every careful preparation designed to make the night feel safer. Not because those things are wrong, but because they are not the source. You alone, one keeper, one source, one place where the safety is real and permanent and does not depend on the circumstances being favorable, and in the clearing that the word alone creates. In the space left by the releasing of every other thing, the lying down becomes possible. The body settles. The soul has already arrived. He who keeps you will not slumber. The Psalm of Ascent names this truth with the kind of calm precision that belongs to a settled fact, not an urgent reassurance. He who keeps Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. The night is not unguarded, while the tired person settles into sleep, while the consciousness that has been working through the day and the evening finally releases its hold and lets the body rest. The keeper remains fully awake, fully attentive, fully present to every movement of the night. The sleeping person creates no gap in the watching. This is the asymmetry of the night, and it is an act of grace. The one who needs rest gets to rest fully, completely, without the divided attention that comes from trying to stay slightly awake in case something requires attending to. The keeper holds the night watch entirely, not partially, not in shifts, not until he grows tired and needs to be relieved. You sleep, he watches. Every hour of this night is attended. Every hour is held by the one who holds the night itself, the same one who set you apart, who heard the cry that went upward, who received the offering of trust, who turned a face of light and favor, who quieted by love, who promised that his presence would go with you and rest would follow. That same one is awake through every hour of this night, and the night is complete. There was a first sleep before any weight existed, before any burden arrived, before the long and complicated story of human struggle and grace and redemption had begun to unfold. In the beginning, in the garden, when everything was still held in its original wholeness, God caused a deep sleep to fall. It was a gift, deliberate and direct, not a necessity born of exhaustion, not a function of physical limits, but a designed grace, a regular mercy built into the created rhythm of days and nights. Sleep was embedded in the order of things from the very beginning. God called the first days good, and the rest that came with them was part of that goodness. The sleep that comes tonight is a returning to that original design, not a reduced version of it, not something lesser because of the weight the years have added to the lying down. The design of sleep is still the same design, a holy thing, a created thing, a gift given from before the first burden ever arrived. The heaviness the day adds to the act of lying down does not alter what sleep is at its root. It is a gift from the beginning. It was given before the first weight, and it is still given now. In the middle of whatever the day left behind, in the quiet of whatever night holds the one who is receiving it. When you lie down, your sleep will be sweet. The proverb says it simply, a direct promise attached to the same trust the psalm has been walking through. Sweetness, a word for something that satisfies without effort. The quality of a thing that does what it was designed to do, quietly, completely, without requiring anything from from the one receiving it, except the willingness to receive. The sleep that comes from trust in God carries this quality, a sleep that rests the body as fully as the body needs, a sleep that holds the dreaming hours in the care of the same keeper who watched the waking ones, a sleep that leads toward morning as surely and gently as the faithfulness of God leads every night toward dawn. Sweet sleep, already arriving, already in the room, already in the breath that has slowed, already in the weight of the body that has settled fully into the quiet of the night. The journey through Psalm 4 has been walked in full, every step of it. The cry that went upward and was heard, the truth that the faithful have been set apart and specifically known, the weight brought to the bed without bypassing it, the deliberate offering of trust placed with open hands and left there, the light of God's face turned in warmth and favor, the deeper gladness placed directly in the heart, a gladness that outweighs the full harvest of the world's best circumstances, and then the lying down, not as a conclusion the mind reaches by argument, as a natural arrival point of a soul that has completed the journey the song was always moving through. In peace I will lie down and sleep, for you alone make me dwell in safety. The night is very quiet now. The fire has settled into its slowest rhythm. The sound of it is barely there, just warmth, just the low and steady presence of something that has been burning gently through all the hours, and the room is still in the way that rooms become still very late in the night, when everything has been released and nothing is being asked. The psalm has been walked through fully, and the truth it carried, every layer of it, remains present in the quiet. The cry that went up and was heard, the ground of being set apart and specifically known, the weight brought to the bed and placed before God, the trust given as an offering with open hands, the face of God turned in light and favor, the gladness placed deeper than circumstances can reach, the peace that stands guard, the presence that carries rest within it, all of it still true, all of it still here. To dwell in safety is to remain in it. The word the psalm uses is not a passing word. It is not the language of a brief visit to safety on the way to somewhere else. It is the language of habitation, of being at home in a place, of belonging to it and remaining within it. The listener dwells in safety tonight. The night is the container. The safety is real. The keeper is awake. And the dwelling is not dependent on the one resting within it, doing anything to maintain it. It is held entirely by the one who made the promise that safety would be his to give. You alone, Lord, make me dwell in safety. The alone means the dwelling is secure. There is one keeper, one source, one place where the safety holds completely, without needing to be supplemented by anything else. And the listener is dwelling there now. The mercies of God are new every morning. The ancient words from Lamentations were written in the middle of great grief. A man sitting in the quiet aftermath of tremendous loss. searching for what had not changed in the middle of everything that had. And he found it. Great is his faithfulness. The mercies arrive fresh every morning. They do not carry over from yesterday with any portion diminished. They do not accumulate fatigue through repeated use. Every morning they are waiting, complete and new, as full as they have ever been. The night between now and that morning is held entirely by the faithfulness that makes the morning certain. The listener will sleep, and the morning will come. And when it comes, new mercy will be there, as faithful and complete as the mercy that held every night before this one. The faithfulness does not fail between the lying down and the waking. It never has. The ancient blessing was spoken over people in the wilderness. The priests would speak it over the people of God, the ones still in the middle of the long journey, still in the desert, still waiting for what had been promised to arrive. The blessing was given over people who had not yet reached the destination, who were still carrying the weight of the journey, who went to sleep each night in the wilderness, not knowing what the next day would require. And the blessing held all of that. The Lord bless you and keep you. The keeping holds the one still walking. The blessing covers the one who has not yet arrived. The Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The face turned, the light of it falling on the one still in the middle of the journey. The grace given freely, without requiring the journey to be completed first. The Lord lift his face toward you and give you peace. Peace given. The final word of the blessing is peace. Not earned, not achieved, not reached at the end of a long and difficult process of becoming worthy of it. Given, the face lifted. The peace following the turning of the face, the way warmth follows the turning of a lamp. This blessing extends into this night, over the one still in the middle of whatever the day has named as the journey, over the one who does not yet know how the unresolved things will resolve, over the one who laid down with something still present, still heavy, still waiting for the morning's answer. The Lord keep you, his face turned gently toward you in this night. The body is at rest now. The breath has found its own slow and even pace without effort. The hands are open. The weight that was carried in has been placed somewhere that holds it completely, somewhere that does not require the sleeping body to continue managing it through the hours. The keeper is awake. Every hour of this night is attended. Every quiet movement within the sleep is held. The gap between lying down and waking is not an unguarded space. It is fully known and fully held, moment by moment, by the one who neither slumbers nor sleeps. The keeping continues through every dark hour, and the one who is kept rests completely, because the keeping requires nothing of them. In peace I will lie down and sleep. For you alone, Lord, make me dwell in safety. The words of the psalm settle into the room like the final notes of something that has been playing gently through the night. They do not announce themselves. They simply arrive, familiar now real now, no longer just words written by a person long ago, but a truth inhabited by the one resting in it. The journey has been completed. The psalmist who began in wait and walked through honest prayer and releasing and trust, and the light of God's face and a gladness deeper than circumstances. That psalmist lay down and slept, and this night the same road has been walked, and the same arrival has been reached. The fire is low and warm. The room is held in quiet. The night continues, full and steady, held by the faithfulness that never thins and never exhausts. The sleep has arrived, or is arriving now, in whatever form it comes. Gently, without effort on the part of the one receiving it. Sweet sleep, the kind the proverb names, the kind that belongs to a soul that has found the right resting place and been kept there. The Lord your God is in the midst of this night, and he is quieting, still by love. The keeping that holds this night is the same keeping that held every night before it. The faithful who called out in the darkness of many different centuries, in many different languages, with many different weights pressing in, they were held through the dark and carried toward morning. The morning always came, new mercy, fresh and complete, waiting on the other side of the night. And this morning will come too. The faithfulness that makes it certain is the same faithfulness that received the cry at the beginning of this psalm, that turned the face of light, that quieted by love, that received the offering of trust with open hands, and has been holding it through all the hours since. Great is his faithfulness, and so the night is good. The weight that arrived with the evening has been placed somewhere that holds it without asking the sleeping person to keep watch over it. The peace that passes understanding is standing guard. The keeper who does not slumber is awake. The face of God is turned in favor toward the one resting. The gladness that outlasts every harvest is present in the heart. Quiet, settled, requiring no maintenance, and the dwelling in safety is real. You alone, Lord, make me dwell in safety. The alone is a gift, the one source, the sufficient keeper, the complete peace, and the one who received that truth tonight, who walked the full arc of Psalm 4 and arrived at its destination. That one is held now, carried through the dark toward morning, resting in the care that never shifts, in peace, in safety, in the kept and quiet night. The voice grows quieter now. The psalm is complete. The journey has been made. The lying down has happened. The fire will continue through the hours, low and warm, a steady presence in the room. The keeper who does not slumber will continue through the hours, fully awake, fully faithful, holding every moment of the night. And the one who lay down in peace will be carried gently through all of them, through every quiet hour between now and morning, through every dark passage of the sleeping hours, toward the faithfulness that waits fresh on the other side. The night is good. Sleep well.